This video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, Ahsoka wouldn't exist. Learn more about the strike at the link in the description. The Ahsoka series has brought up a lot of talk about Sabein, her training to become a Jedi, and her Force sensitivity, or should I say her lack of Force sensitivity, which has raised the discussion among fans: do you need to be able to use the Force to be a Jedi? Well, there is a Jedi Master named Lyr Farseeker that can help us answer that very question. He was first mentioned in the Rise of Skywalker Jr. novel as one of the authors of the sacred Jedi texts that Rey took off Ahsoka. He wrote that the mind of a Jedi could move mountains, but a Jedi's heart could move souls. He was later mentioned in the short story anthology collection Stories of Jedi and Sith, specifically in a High Republic era tale appropriately called What Makes a Jedi. It's about a 14-year-old boy from Coruscant's Undercity who desperately wants to become a Jedi Knight. He saves money to buy falsified paperwork for a blood test with a good midichlorian count. He builds a fake lightsaber out of construction tools and steals robes from a costume shop. Of course, the Jedi see right through the disguise, but he is able to help them thwart a kidnapping, and through that experience he meets Master Yoda. The boy admits to his lies and his false midichlorian count, and Yoda says, "You think midichlorians are what makes a Jedi?" A Padawan also tells him, no master with any common sense cares about blood tests. When the boy tells Yoda that he is unable to control the Force, Yoda encourages him to study Lyr Farseeker. No great power had he, yet from his ink sprang some of the Jedi's greatest texts. For though the Jedi and the Force are one, the Force is not what a Jedi makes. Yoda does agree the boy may be too old to become a Jedi Knight, but claims there are more than just knights in the Order, saying he could be a watcher, steward, caregiver, or even a guardian of the Jedi Temple. And so the boy, Lohim Nara, is admitted to join the Order in a very unconventional way, and I'm sure he had a very unconventional Jedi path, but he does fulfill his dream of becoming a Jedi in some capacity as far as we know, and it's partially because of a precedent set by Lyr Farseeker, a Jedi Master who had no great power in the Force, which might mean he couldn't control the Force at all, or maybe he had little connection compared to the other Jedi. Either way, he still understood what it meant to be a Jedi enough to write some of their sacred texts. I think it's very interesting jumping back only a couple hundred years to see how the Jedi operated at the time of the High Republic, showing greater flexibility. During the time of the prequels, even Qui-Gon used a blood test to determine or maybe simply to confirm Anakin's aptitude, but there's a sense that the Jedi held a medical procedure in high regard for what should have been a spiritual decision. Anakin also had humble beginnings and dreams of becoming a Jedi, but at first he is shut down, even by Yoda. It took Qui-Gon's dying request to get him into the Order. But I think the further back in Jedi history we go, the greater diversity we will see in Jedi and the ways in which they connect with the Force. What would the Order have looked like before blood tests could determine midichlorian counts, before the Order even knew what midichlorians were? They would have had to look at the heart and motivations of their potential recruits. Do they have a desire to guard peace and justice? That may have been the only requirement during the dawn of the Jedi era. I expect that's around when Lyr Farseeker existed. It's odd to think that someone like him may have been rejected from the Order during the time of the prequels, but as the Order grew into the thousands, they probably started to standardize their admission process. They would only have so many resources, so that was likely out of necessity. I wonder if that's why the Church of the Force became a thing. People like Lor San Tekka, who all believed in the Force but couldn't wield it. Maybe the Church was first created by Jedi hopefuls that didn't quite make the cut. But after the rise of the Empire, the Jedi Order was back down to only a handful of survivors. Like Ahsoka said, people who wield the Force are a rarity now. Huyang confirms that Sabein has little to no aptitude, and yet Ahsoka chose to train her, probably not because of her potential in the Force, but more likely because of her heart. I do still think Sabein will do something with the Force in this series. I think she and Lohim Nara and Lyr Farseeker all had the potential to learn to wield the Force in that way, but it may have never happened for them. And if it doesn't happen for Sabein, I agree with Yoda that the Force isn't what makes a Jedi in the end. Anyone can choose to be a powerful force for the light side in their own way. But that's all I've got for today. I was reminded of Lyr Farseeker by a friend of the show, Eleanor Mueller, from the Daughters of Ferrix podcast during one of our book club meetings. I had completely forgotten about that short story, but I think it sets a precedent for Sabein. I don't think it was written with Sabein in mind, I just think it explores similar themes as the Ahsoka series. Let me know what you think of Lyr Farseeker and how he might inform Sabein's story in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Ahsoka coverage, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.